Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Topix Podcast. Today, I'm here with my co-host,
Lambchop.
Yes, good day. Felonious couldn't make it today. She's out on location doing her research on New Orleans. So she's having a good time, and we'll pick up. She'll join us at the next podcast. But today, we're going to have something different. We're going to talk about, well, this is going to be an organic discussion.
I think all of our discussions are organic.
They are. But this one is like we didn't plan on this one.
That's true.
So we going by what we had. Do we want to start with as usual? We're going to start with the trending topics.
Well, today I actually watched a little bit of the Trump trial. I said I wasn't going to pay attention to it, but I was getting dressed and I had it on, and they're saying Michael Cohen is a very competent witness, and
I would think he would be
very believable.
I would think he would be because simple fact that the dude went to jail.
Facts.
And that was his lawyer for a long time, and he doesn't have anything to lose, especially when Trump threw him under the bus.
That's the thing. Like, I don't understand how all of these people keep backing him up where they clearly see that he has not come to anybody's aid. Like, he has thrown everybody under the bus.
He sure has. Wait, I think one person, somebody got a pardon.
I don't know.
It was, what was that guy, the sheriff over in New Mexico or Arizona? And I think it was this little short dude. So I think he pardoned two people. One is the sheriff that was making the prisoners sleep out in tents in the desert and wearing pink. You remember him? Well, he got charged and convicted with something, and he pardoned them. And there was another guy, I forgot who it was, but he was a witness or material witness that refused to cooperate, and I think he ended up lying to the FBI.
Wow.
But he ended up pardoning him, which I think is kind of, if you're part of a criminal investigation, why are you allowed to pardon somebody who's instrumental in your investigation?
Because you're white and male.
Yeah. Well, they need to fix that. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and I don't think they anticipated the things that we're dealing with today.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah,
Charging
nobody
the
thought.
president,
Yeah.
insurrection.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly
Withholding
what I was gonna say.
classified information.
Yep.
So,
Taking classified information out of the White House.
yes.
Tons of classified information.
Well, but you know what? The thing about that, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, they say, well, Biden did it and this person did it. Well, guess what? Everybody was cooperative with the investigation. Oh, yeah, I have this here. You can have it back. Right. They didn't lie about it and say, I don't have it anymore, or move it and just, and refuse to give it. Oh, I have the right to keep it.
Right.
And the stuff he took was kind of questionable too. Like, why are you keeping that?
Yeah. Right.
Why would you need to?
Why?
So that was things that
yes, this is definitely new water we are negotiating for sure.
And I'm going to have some elected officials come in.
Okay.
Because they are those people who can make those changes. So, and we need to ask them those questions, to prevent these things from happening in the future.
Again, like how is any of this allowed? Yeah.
Baffling.
I kind of also feel like if it was a Democratic president.
Oh, he'd have been hung.
Yeah. I don't think it would have gone this far. I really don't think it would have gone this far. Yeah.
Perfect example. Al Franken.
Yes. I did not want him to resign.
I didn't either.
I did not want him to resign. And I'm not saying he's not guilty, but, Trump is just like, I did A, B, C, and D. I don't care. What are you going to do about it?
And they didn't want him to resign. They didn't even want to convict him off his 2 impeachments.
Right.
So Al Franken, his whole thing was, he kissed somebody or whatever, and they were joking, and all the stuff that came up it was questionable.
Right.
Even with her, her thing, and whatever. But the Democrats were like, oh, it's the good thing to do. We don't just resign, blah, blah. But now you have somebody who's doing all these things that they won't even
acknowledge.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
So
I mean, it started even before he was the presidential nominee.
Yeah.
You know, it started with the Billy Bush thing. What is that, E? Where he was on a bus and say you just grab him by the, you know, you can do anything you want. You just grab him by. He told you who he was.
Yeah, he did.
He told you who he was before. Has any other candidate ever?
Or called other countries
Shitholes?
countries.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, he's.
So it started, you know, way before he.
You're right.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. But let me tell you, I think a lot of people gravitate to him because they feel he's saying the things that they've been thinking, but they couldn't say. They felt uncomfortable saying it, and he's making them feel comfortable saying it.
You should feel uncomfortable saying
that's our
some of this
guy.
stuff.
Well,
you really should feel uncomfortable saying this stuff.
Yeah. What, like the blacks love me because
The blacks love tennis shoes.
yeah,
The blacks. We are in 2024.
look at my black friend. Oh, wait a minute. Then Lawrence Taylor got up there and talked about, well, I used to be a Democrat my entire life until I met this man right here. He's in New Jersey, right? You know, and he's a Giants legend. People love Lawrence Taylor.
Right.
You know, even aside from
Football.
his one of the greatest of all time. Aside from his, you know, his drug habits and his picking up prostitutes and all that other type of stuff, they still love him. Now he gets up there and he's, you know, on the center stage with Trump, supporting Trump.
Well,
Prostitutes.
this is America,
So,
and you have a right to choose whoever you want.
But at some point, some people got to actually think about what they're you know, looking at or hearing. So you got to think about why I'm doing certain things. And it seems to me that less and less people are actually willing to think about things. Like, you know, Jada Kiss gets on the radio or whatever. Well, I saw him on Instagram. He's talking about, well, yeah, I love Trump. And, you know, because, you know, when Trump was in office, we had money.
What?
Yeah. And people don't think because they say, oh, you know, Jada, you know, somebody famous says it, they'll pile on.
Right. Especially young kids. They're getting their news from TikTok and Twitter and not, you know.
Well, at least he had the platinum plan. So what happened to the platinum plan?
Right. Where is it?
What happened to his healthcare plan?
Why don't we have one?
Exactly. Or any plan. So that's him.
It's hard. It's really hard. And honestly, I vote the way I vote because of the Supreme Court justices. Because they are the people who, in the long run, will affect your life.
For decades to come. Yeah.
Yeah. Your life, your children's lives, the whole 9 yards. And, you know, I'm all about this Roe v. Wade thing, and it's upsetting to me because, you know, I lived in that time where they were fighting it, and people was like, well, you're not having kids, why does it affect you? It affects my grandchildren.
Right.
It affects my granddaughters. It affects my goddaughter. It affects them for their lives, for the rest of their lives, and people just don't understand that.
And you know what's ironic about that? Every Supreme Court justice, when they did their interviews, I guess you call it interviews, they always asked them about Roe v. Wade.
Yes.
And they all said, well, it's the law of the land and blah, blah, blah.
Right. And I don't have any intentions of doing anything. It's the law of the land.
Until they got that supermajority.
Yep. Party's over. And people don't understand that once you start turning over things, other things become easier to roll over. Yes. So that's the other thing. You know, you have to think about the long-term effects of these things, you know.
Well, in the good news, what was it? Was it Arizona or New Mexico? I think it was Arizona. They overturned a century-old law that basically said they couldn't have abortions at all, right?
At all, right.
Okay, so they did at least that. And I think Arizona is actually kind of coming on board with stuff. They're starting to see the light, you know, where some of the other states have not.
What are they calling?
Mississippi.
Is that a purple state? They call it.
Yes, it's becoming purple. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the places I just don't like. What was it? The governor of Mississippi. He declared a Confederate holiday. Oh my God. This was recently, and I thought that was kind of who does that?
And how does he get away with doing that? Like, where are the people standing up saying
Mississippi?
This is wrong?
Yeah, and
there has to be people in Mississippi who don't agree with that.
by the way, Mississippi has the highest number of black people, African Americans, or I think percentage wise, and that's blood red. Why? So there you go. So, but I thought that was pretty ironic. And we were just talking about earlier that how it seems like this country is going backwards.
Yes.
You know, the whole thing with Trump, and he's bringing all these constitutional issues up.
Right.
You know, and at some point, you know, I would think that if I was a legislator, I said, well, you know, let's get this powwow together and let's fix all these things that he's actually bringing up, like presidential immunity.
Right. No.
That is the most ridiculous thing that I think they shouldn't even took the case. I'm gonna say that once again. They shouldn't have, you know, nobody's above the law, and now he has who he has on the Supreme Court, and it's easy for them to say, you know, we'll listen to it. We'll say what parts of his job is, you know, you have immunity for. I mean, it's ridiculous. I just don't like it.
I kind of feel like too that Trump has shown them that he will not back you up. He is not going to back you up. Look at all his folks out there that he just left hanging in the wind. So if I was on the Supreme Court, I'd be like, it's my job now, and I need to vote the way I need my conscience or the way the law says I'm supposed to vote, and not necessarily follow Trump. But they're not going to do that.
But they're lifetime appointments.
Right. So he can't. What is he going to do?
Exactly.
He can't do anything to them, which I think they need to change that too.
I was about to say
you should
that.
not be a
agree.
lifetime. I think the same thing with the Senate, like all of those things. I think needs to have a time limit.
Well, I like the idea that having the Congress unlimited terms, only because that's our direct democracy, and that's directly the will of the people. Now, which was the problem with that is the gerrymandering. It's like some people get, you know, because you have a deep red or a deep blue state, they can draw the lines to say, well, to make sure that you stay in power.
Right.
That's the problem. And a lot of those cases are going up to the Supreme Court now.
Well, I kind of feel like with a lifetime appointment, people get stuck in the old way of thinking about things, and this is how I did it in my day.
And you don't change them out.
Right.
Okay.
And sometimes at some point you need to look at things and try to have another perspective,
right?
You know, as to how things go. Because if we stay stuck in this is how we do it, we probably still be picking cotton somewhere.
Well, here's another thing too, and this is a problem. We going back to how the Democrats, you're too soft. Democrats, donkeys, you're too soft. You had an opportunity where they basically told you that we're not going to even have the hearing for your Supreme Court nominee, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, they
to me,
fought that.
they should have. The president should have ceded, you know,
that next Supreme Court,
because they abdicated their right to, you know, consent. So you have that. Now, the same thing happened again. This time, it was with the Republicans. They seated somebody with less time.
Yep.
You know, during election time. So how many times you gonna get kicked in the teeth before you start covering up?
Right.
Or kicking back. So you have that. Now, another thing they could have done, which they didn't, they could have increased the number of Supreme Court justices. And not to say that it's all political, but the thing is, if you look at the Supreme Court justices, it's been increased quite a few times.
Right.
And I think they go by, I think there was something that had to do with the number of district courts as well.
Okay.
It was some type of related, and we should have more Supreme Court justices, but they could have done that and flipped it. You know, they could have done that, but they didn't. They had the opportunity and they squandered it. So now it's kind of like, I want to say you get what you deserve, but we're the ones who getting it.
Right.
You know, so
we're the one who's getting it. You're right about that. And other people are getting it too. They just don't realize that they're getting it.
Right. That's the worst part.
And that's the worst part. It's just like a lot of people's like, oh yeah, I love Trump and he's doing this for me and that for me, and it's just like, no, you about to get your Social Security cut. You're about to get your Medicaid cut. Yeah, keep thinking he's doing things for you.
Oh, speaking of which, now here's the thing. You mentioned Social Security, right? everybody's saying, oh, Social Security is going to run out of money, and you know what? Because we're what was it? Because we're paying so much out, so you know what? There's a simple fix for that. You know that Social Security you only get taxed. What was it, like 1%? Something like, it was something small, but you only get it up to a certain amount. So if you're getting taxed, like say $250,000, right, and then somebody who has $250 billion, they're still getting taxed,
right?
The same amount,
1%, right?
So they need to remove that cap.
Yep.
So 1% is 1%. If you getting 1% from somebody who got billions of dollars, then so be it. That would solve that Social Security so-called crisis. So
I kind of feel like if you make more, you pay more.
Absolutely.
And what, that makes me a socialist? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're a socialist.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, if I have more, I give more.
Right.
If I have extra, I give extra. I feel like if we did more of that in this country, we would be ahead of the game.
Well, the progressive tax laws kind of fit that bill, but what happened? Who was it? Reagan. Reagan actually dropped.
Yeah.
So when you was getting a ton of money, there was mechanisms in there that said, well, before you get taxed a whole bunch of money, I'll send it to charitable causes.
Yep.
And you had to reinvest back into the country.
Right.
So he got in there, and the rich got richer, the poor got poorer, and the middle class got smaller.
Yep. And I feel like I pay way more taxes than some of these rich people based on income.
Well, actually, you do.
I'm paying a ridiculous amount of taxes. I haven't gotten a tax refund, and I can't even tell you how long.
And that was another trick that you guys wanted to vote for Trump. He had that little tax law he put in there, and the benefits expired for us.
Right.
But not for people, not for the high earning corporations and stuff like that. So if you notice, like a lot of, let's see, who was it? Let's say billionaire A, what they'll do is they'll live off loans because loans aren't taxable.
Oh my God.
So if you pay a 2% loan, let's say I'm a billionaire, it takes me, I can live off of $10 million this year, right? I'm going to get a loan. I'm going to get the loan.
Absolutely. Right.
I'm going to get the loan, $10 million. I'm going to live off of that, but it's a loan. It's not taxed. I pay interest of 3% versus the 20 some odd percent or the 30% or the 40%.
Right.
So that's how they're getting off. So they can pay that back off of, that little bit of money. Well, what do they call it? Stock options or whatever. But is a game that they play, and they set the laws up so the rich keeps more money.
Right.
But people don't want to,
that they don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I get it. And part of the problem too is a lot of people aren't paying attention. A lot of people aren't voting, and they should. My husband came home one day and he said, "Let me tell you this, you're not going to believe it." And I actually thought he was going to tell me a story about work. He was having a conversation with somebody about the trial. And the person asked him who was Stormy Daniels. And I said, "Are they joking?" Because you have to be living under a rock to not at least heard that name once in the last 4 years.
Please tell me it was at least somebody who was just out of high school or something.
No. No, grown ass adult who should know. So that's part of it. Part of it is we're not teaching our kids. You got to pay attention to what's happening. You got to get out there and vote. You got to get out there and know what's going on and make decisions based on that.
Why vote? My vote don't count. This is what you hear.
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly what you hear.
In the barbershop, those guys, are you voting? If you're not voting, shut the fuck up. Right. You can't get into any discussion unless you're gonna at least vote. And I don't care what's your vote. And I ain't gonna pick on Jehovah's Witnesses. They have a reason not to vote. I don't agree with it, but I can at least see theirs.
What is their reason not to vote? I don't think I've ever heard that.
Well, it's a religious reason where they say they can't or they don't want to intervene in the workings of God. Something. That's how it was explained to me. But I didn't agree with it. But it was at least, in their teachings that we don't vote. We don't interfere in government. So, yeah. Sheep.
I wish people could see my face because I'm absolutely stunned.
Yep.
I I was this old today when I learned that. What? How many million Jehovah Witnesses are there out there?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
what?
Yep. Let's make sure. Somebody could have told me something crazy. Let's see. Why don't Jehovah Witnesses?
And my response to people who say, I don't vote because my vote don't count. And I say to them, why are they keep trying to stop you from voting if it didn't count?
Exactly.
Why do they keep changing the rules if it didn't count? And I just say, just based on the fact that, your grandparents got hoses, fired at them, and dogs attacked them, just to have people die, just to have the ability to vote. So you vote just for that.
Yeah.
Yep. If you don't vote for anything else, you vote because their legacy made it possible for you to be able to vote.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you what this African lady told me.
So what was the Institute of Jehovah's Witnesses?
Due to their belief in God's kingdom as the only legitimate form of governance, Jehovah's Witnesses do not participate in political activities such as voting in elections. They refrain from saluting the flag of any country or singing nationalistic songs, which they believe are forms of worship.
Okay.
So
you know what? I listen back to our podcast and I keep saying to myself, you need to stop saying wow so much, because you say that a lot. But this is absolutely a wow moment.
Okay, so that means it's what, 8,625,000 Jehovah's Witnesses. Not to say they're all of voting age, but they will be at some point, right? So if
half of them voted, could carry
yes, so
an election.
But yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, so all right.
That's new info.
I posted a video that I took from Instagram, and it was showing of never forget. That was the theme, never forget, and it was showing how they treated the Africans in Africa, in the Belgium, in the Congo, where they had the kids being used as footstools, and it was just crazy how they used to have to carry the settlers or the explorers or missionaries, colonizers, with these in these carriages, through rivers and stuff like. It was so degrading. And then I posted it in a group that I was trying to get people into thinking about, work together to, get your goals accomplished and, whatever. So some people liked it, but one of the people got on there and said, it was a woman. She said, well, I don't like these things because it's racist, and you Americans, you Black Americans have it good over there, and you bring these things that happened so long ago, and you still keep basically talking about the same old thing. I said, well, none of the videos or pictures that I showed in that presentation, whatever, none of them was from the USA. That was your country.
Wow.
Right. But she had the view that we just like to keep things going. We everything we do, we say is about racism.
A lot of people feel like that.
They do. But same person who's complaining about how bad things are in Africa. So she wanted to come here. That was one of the things,
right.
Background on that. She wanted to come here, and she asked me to hook her up with a white guy, specifically a white guy, not just a white guy. And I was like, why? I said, no, I'm not doing that. Just because she said a white guy. I said, why? Why not?
Just come here and meet somebody. Yeah.
But it was like she was almost like a black racist.
Right.
She was racist against black people, but she was saying how bad it is over here and this and that, whatever. I said, why do you think this is where education come in? Why do you think it's so bad over there?
Right.
Africa's one of the richest continents. No, I'm not one of the is the richest continent. Why does, why we have so many poor African countries when they're so resource rich? Why does Mali have a smidgen of gold reserves and France have the fourth largest gold reserves in the world?
Right. France
don't have no gold mines.
Right.
All that stuff came from Mali and the French owned, countries back then. So I think a lot of our problems is that we don't have the education, or we don't look for things. And I hate to say it, but religion kind of blocks a lot of that because they want to have this this feeling of everybody's equal under God. Mm-hmm. But in real life, no, it's never equal because, you know, we have people pushing buttons, people controlling certain things. So that was something that I just thought about.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. And talk about being brainwashed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And why does she think we have it so good over here?
Because our standard of living is different.
Better.
From, yeah. So and we do that, and I tell.
Yeah, I mean we do, and I'm not sure that I know enough about another country that I would want to live someplace else, or maybe I'm just so comfortable living here that I'm good with that. However, there are still things that we need to fix in this country, and that's just the bottom line, and you can't get around it.
And how they look at it is that, okay, yeah, you guys you say you need to fix that, but the things you have, we don't have. So you're basically complaining for nothing.
No, we're not complaining for nothing.
That's how they say it. And there was somebody, I don't know, you and I was talking about this, how that somebody from Africa came over and said, "Oh, you guys are lazy. You guys don't want to work for your money." Da, 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 da. I'm like, and somebody lit into him. I don't know if he was a Uber driver or something like that, but she lit into him like, you know, it's because of our struggle that you're even able to come here and do the things that you do, you know. So, and we're going to have a podcast on that later on about the divide between Africans and African Americans, because I think it's important, because that needs to be eliminated.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And you only eliminate that through, you know, education, learning about, each other's history and, you know, stuff like that.
Well, I mean, they're trying to erase. I feel like our history is being erased consistently.
Oh, absolutely.
And has been erased. Erasure has been happening consistently since we came here. So it's just, it's so much.
So, hey, look, whoever controls even when talking about history, whoever controls the writing,
right?
You know, that's
controls the history.
Exactly. So you had the Texas. Was it Texas where they tried to change the history books to call slavery, the enslaved Africans said relocated workers or something ridiculous like that.
One of them I saw said that they were all we were all considered indentured servants. And I was just like, wait, man, I thought you paid indentured servants at some point. Like,
yeah, like you worked off a debt.
Right. Like,
so it kind of like you did. You had to pay your fare from coming over to Africa in that slave ship.
Okay. Okay.
So
forever. Okay. Yeah, and I just don't think people get it. I don't think they want to. I think they want to just keep saying, you know, that was so long ago, but it wasn't. You know, like we had that other conversation. It's been in my generation. It wasn't so long ago. And we don't do that for any other culture. We don't do that for any other culture.
This is where Felonious would come in and say, "Oh, the ancestors."
Yes, yes. She would definitely call me an ancestor. Absolutely. I'm starting to feel like I'm more ancient than an ancestor at this point. Yeah. I'm feel like dust in the wind, man, because y'all make me feel old, but it's okay. Being old is okay.
But you know what? You're talking about experience. You lived through certain things, and it's like we were talking about. We lived through the space shuttle blowing up,
right?
You know, we lived through the development of hip hop.
Yes.
You know, I saw the end of disco.
Yes,
you know, so
yes,
like,
absolutely.
I
was with you. I saw the end of disco. Yes. Hey, I was discoing.
but it's you know, they look at it like we're out of touch, but we have that, you know, decades of experience,
right? You
know, that, you know, you can't describe, you know.
I am out of touch for some things. You know, my son will try to tell me, or my granddaughter try to tell me, and I'll just look at them and be like, I really don't care about this.
You know who Blueface is?
Nope. See? See? And a lot of times I don't even care to know, which is not a good thing, because I really should know some things.
No, he's a rapper. I never heard anything from him, but I know he's a rapper.
Okay.
You know, and
you went up on me.
And his girlfriend tattooed his mugshot on the side of her face.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yes. What was her name? Is it Krishan?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. I'm going to try to stop saying wow, but I keep just being amazed by things.
Yeah.
I really do.
But so far, our theme has been all the shenanigans this country is going through, and we're going backwards now. So
I feel like it some days. I really do. But
You know.
it is crazy. Yeah. So Psycho sent me an article that said a Virginia school board is taking a vote on returning the names of Confederate figures to schools. And, immediately I was like, this is some bullshit. Because there is not one thing in Germany with Hitler's name on it.
exactly.
And how is it that they keep getting away with it? And we're supposed to be okay.
So I did a little research in this, not recently, so some things might be a little fuzzy, but a lot of the stuff started with the Daughters of the Confederacy and the what's it called, the resistance to Reconstruction, right? And but this is 2024,
Right.
Which is another separate podcast about the resentment. The resentment. We're going to talk about that. So everybody, this is what I hear. So everybody who's becoming knowledgeable or starting to recognize that, hey, why do we have this Confederate soldier in the middle of our square? Or why do we have this person who was a slave owner in the middle of this? Why are we, revering these people that were against me or against the country,
And thought I was lesser than.
exactly. So when they decided to, let's say, we want that torn down, and they would start, and they was pulling down all the statues, whatever, you would hear people say, well, it's part of history. You can't change history. Or they would say something like, but you can't judge them by our standards today.
But
Yes.
what they did.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Right.
But I was like, well, yes, we can, because even back then, they knew certain things were wrong. They knew slavery was wrong. Even one of the slaveholders, Thomas Jefferson, that was one of the big things that they had with the writing the Declaration of Independence. He wanted to add in some, which is kind of ironic. He wanted to add in some language that basically said that, all men was created equal and more than what is in there now. Then you had, what was it? What was the other one? Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, he was a slave trader. He did a lot of atrocities. Well, things were different back then. Well, if it was so different and it was so acceptable, then why was he put in prison for his crimes back then in the 1400s or early 1500s? They knew it was wrong.
Right.
So it's today, I think a lot of people are starting to have a certain resentment where, oh, you can't change history, or, you're just trying to erase our history. And it's all because you want to make somebody comfortable at the expense of truth.
And I'm not saying to erase their history. I'm just saying courthouses and schools and all of these things shouldn't be named after people who felt like I was less than a human being.
Right.
And treated us in that kind of way. They can go in a museum. You can learn about them there.
And that's where they belong.
And I'm not upset about that. They can go in a museum. You can learn about them. Hey, as a matter of fact, y'all still learning about that in school.
Right.
And my granddaughter comes to me in 2022 or something recently and said, was a slave.
Oh, Lord.
And I was in the middle of Walmart losing my mind. And I'm like, what? What did you say? Because they're not teaching them that in school. It's just somehow getting just passed over. But I guarantee you she knows who, whatever.
Robert E. Lee.
Or George Washington or, Thomas Jefferson. She probably knows or have heard those names. So I don't want to erase their history, but I also don't want them to erase mine either.
Well, I don't want them to erase their history. I just want them to speak the truth. Right. I don't think you should sacrifice, and I'm about truth.
Right.
I don't think you should sacrifice truth just to make anybody comfortable.
Right.
So you have somebody in Florida, how Trump says, was it Ron the sanctimonious,
Uh,
the governor. How can you have a government that says, we're not going to let you approve African American studies, but at the same time you're studying European history
Right.
and history of all these other groups,
right.
because you don't want people to feel you think it's racist
Right.
to learn about history. Our history is your history as the history of this
Exactly.
country. So it's
Yeah.
that's where we are today, and it's unfortunate that we are here. All I'm asking for is the truth. I want to know, and I'm gonna tell you this. So I'm going by all the arguments I have on social media, right? And they always say, well, look at all the places that are poor. Those are run by Democrats. Or look at her. Yeah, that's what they'll say. They'll say, look at, that's a Democratic city. And I said, well, guess what? If you look at the counties that are poor or the states that are poor,
Right.
they are red states,
Right.
And if you look at crime, period, it goes by population density and
Yes.
poverty,
Yes.
right? So we got into those arguments, but I had to sit on a meeting where they was talking about the poverty pockets,
Okay.
and they put a map over Baltimore City, the poverty pockets, and it was superimposed with the map of the redlining.
Oh, wow.
Why was it the same exact map? So from what they did back then still affects us today.
Absolutely.
And people don't understand it. They'll say, well, you guys had the same opportunities. And
right.
No.
No.
And how many times do you have a report come out about the home, what's it called? The home appraisals.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
where-
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they had a black couple sit there and they got their home appraised for $300,000 less, but then they had a white couple stand in, and then it was all of a sudden it was hundreds of thousands more.
Yep.
Or when they do these investigations, they find out that there was improper loaning with the banks and stuff like that.
Predatory loaning.
So it's
Yep.
all these things, but they'll still say, well, it's the same.
It's not the same. I mean, if you even go back to the GI Bill, we should, African Americans should have been able to. They claimed that they were able to get a GI Bill, but most of them were denied.
Right.
Most of them, and it wasn't anybody to turn to say,
Right.
why wouldn't you give me this? I did this. I was there just like everybody else was there. So a lot of people in the 50s, 60s when it was developed, that's how they started building their wealth, and passing that wealth on to their children.
And they don't know. That's exactly how wealth is propped up.
Right.
So even going back then, New Jersey, there's this bridge called the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And he was one of the most racist people, and like I said, going back to what we were saying earlier, they need to change the name of that bridge.
Yeah.
If he was a racist, and when we were talking about the movies, he played The Birth of a Nation, and when he came into office and he decided to fire people or institute segregated government jobs and stuff like that. So
you lowered people's standard of living. You made sure that they could not get out of poverty. You gave the kids less education. All of those things.
And poverty
All
is
those
passed
things.
down.
Yes.
That's why they have they call it the trap.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. Just like the riches are passed down, the poverty is passed down.
I wish I can get one of my former coworkers and friends up, because we used to have these debates at work. We're not supposed to have those type of conversations, but and it was about privilege. And we got into this thing, and
That's a whole nother thing.
but people don't understand what privilege is. They really didn't understand it. And with him, when we started talking, he started to laugh. He was like, I think you're right.
Yeah, right. Imagine that.
So I'm gonna give you this one time,
Right.
But yeah,
right.
it all goes back on having the dialogue. Don't get your panties in a bunch because you feel uncomfortable about something that's said. It's the truth.
Right.
Speak the truth, and we can go back to far history. We've had arguments with Arabs about Egypt. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, they don't think they're African.
Well, we were talking about ancient Egypt, and I was like, well, you came from Asia. You came from the Arab lands of Arabia, which is really was a part of Africa as well for a bit. But you came over. You took over northern Africa after those ancient times. So, you know, and they would accuse black people, you guys, and it was getting hostile, you know.
Oh, wow.
You know, you guys always trying to take other people's accomplishments. That's what he said. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Look, I get on these Facebook groups and I just jump in there. I just read and I just look at some of the arguments going back and forth. And, you know, I got to take my stuff in there too. You know.
That's interesting coming from, you know, a group of people who took all of our accomplishments or made it feel like we didn't have any. And like we didn't do anything.
Exactly. You said something before. You said representation matters.
It absolutely matters.
And I don't think people understand how important that is. You know, and it's going back to the privilege.
Unless it's coming from them, for them.
Well, you know? And you know, it's so funny because even with that, now they're feeling like they're slighted. There was a poll that they did that said, who's discriminated against most? And I forgot where the poll was from. And it was like white males. Okay. So
the ones who have almost everything and control everything. And, you know, okay.
Yes.
All right.
You know.
Yeah. But I just wish that sometimes that people could really switch and live the life that some other cultures live and really see how you live, because, you know, I think that would give you another perspective, and you would see some things. You would see some things differently.
I would switch with Elon Musk.
Oh my God.
Bill Gates. Who's the other one? Jeff Bezos. Yeah. I would switch with you in a second. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you what I would do.
Oh boy, here we go.
First, I would get half of their wealth away. Yeah. I would. It would be different projects to improve humanity. That's what I would do. Because there's no way, and I hate to sound like a socialist too, but there is no way
you can spend all that money.
Yeah. Why does somebody? There's got to be a point where, you know, you're too wealthy. Right. You're never going to. Your kids will never have to worry about anything. You're never going to have to worry about anything. So at some point, there is a line where you should say, you know what? Anything after this, I'm going to give it to people who are more needy or to a more needy cause of a fix.
They do give a lot away.
But not enough.
To give some away to charity. I think they do.
They do.
Because it's a tax write-off.
I was about to say that
too, you know, but they do give a lot of money away.
If you ever look at Instagram and you see some like, what was it? The Saudis or somebody from Kuwait or one of those, you know, Arab, you know, nations over there. And they have the pet lions. You know, they have the Rolls Royce that actually have literal gold and diamond crusted. Wow. The wealth is, to me, I look at it as obscene. Right. You know, and everybody's like, oh my God, you know, they have this and that, and they have gold faucets and they have diamond this and everything that, you know, opulence and overdrive. Right. So for me, I look at that as obscene. Like, you know, if you're a religious person, that should be a sin. There is no way you should have to be, you know, I'm not saying you shouldn't be rich, but to go that far for what? And you have people there that are starving. Right. You know, that don't have health care. And some of them do. Like some country, they take care of their people. But do something else. Do something more than just, you know, show and brag about how much wealth you have, because that's what it's about. Yeah. And I do believe that some of that in the religion is frowned on. Yeah,
you're not supposed to brag about the things that you have. I don't know. You know, I guess I don't have rich people problems because I don't know what that's like. But even the little bit of money that I do have, if somebody's in need, I can't not help. Right. If I'm able, you know, I won't put myself in debt to help you, but if I'm able to help you, I'm going to help you. And, you know, I won't take anything away from rich people. A lot of rich people do contribute to charities and try to make things better.
They do.
And I won't take anything away from them, but I think people need to see for real how other people live. Not that, you know, the made up TV, fake stuff. Like, you know, go into, and this is one of the things I was talking to my son about today.
I ain't going to some of these hoods.
It is a Walmart that I want to fight you right now. So one of the Walmarts that's closer to my other son's house is humongous. It's well lit. The aisles are large. It's always a cashier available. The Walmart closer to where I live, which is a predominantly Black and Latino neighborhood, you can't get 2 carts down the aisle at the same time. The parking spaces are so close together that you have to squeeze and not open the door so you don't hit someone's car. And half the time, there's no lighting on the parking lot. So that's just a small example, but live like that on a consistent basis every single day of your life and see how things change in your spirit.
Well, I'm going to still say that there's still a point where you have too much. Even if I don't care how much you give, there's still a point where, you have too much. Even if you have this huge corporation, and I hate to pick on Amazon because I love Amazon. I'm about to order something on Amazon. So when I talk about you, Jeff, we talk about the other people. So, but if you have this amount of wealth, right? You're earning $1 billion a day or $100 million, whatever it is. That means you should have at some point, the most well-paid employees.
Right.
The biggest employee force, even if it's like, let's say if I was making what Walmart owners make. Right. And I had this big superstore and I'm like, all right, I'm going to pay my employees well. I don't want them to have
They should have health care. They should have, we could send you to school, all of those things.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to have a group of people that I'm going to hire just so they can go out and clean the parking lot. Right. Or around my business area to make the environment better, Right. A lot of things like that. You can offer them scholarships. There's so many things you can do with that extra wealth that'll make lives better and help yourself actually. But if I got $100 billion,
you can make a whole lot of lives better.
After a certain amount, if I have $100 billion to $200 billion, it don't even matter. Right. But they trying to get into space.
Well, aren't the Apple people get ready to go on strike?
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
You didn't see that? Yeah.
I did not see it.
Yeah. The Apple people get ready to go on strike. I think Towson might be the first ones because they want a union.
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you who should be striking: the people that make them batteries. That's who should be striking.
I can't with you.
I have mine 77%. Right.
I can't with you.
Batteries.
But we are guilty of consumerism. That's part of the problem too, because it's a supply and demand kind of thing. If I wasn't ordering something off of Amazon every other day, I know them people are sick of me, especially I got to walk up 10,000 steps to get to my house. He's like, if she order one more daggone thing.
But they drop off with drones now too.
Oh, well, that would be good for my house. But
so let me ask you something. Even with what do you think should be the solution to this backwards trend that we're facing when it comes to history? And we were talking about the schools with the changing of the names and stuff like that. Because again, like I said, there's no reason why, and you can't be a patriot and love the Confederacy either, because they broke away from, they were really traitors. This is people that said, I don't want to be part of the United States. So how can you be a U.S. patriot and walk into the White House with a Confederate flag?
Listen, if you want to hang a Confederate flag at your house or on your truck or on anything that you own personally,
you're a traitor.
I say knock yourself out.
Yeah, and you're a traitor.
But because that's what the United States is supposed to be about. You should be able to personally have your own opinion. Knock yourself out. But don't hang it on a government building. Right. And don't force me to be okay with it when I see it out somewhere. Because, for African Americans, that's a torture.
Exactly.
That represents torture and just a whole line of things. What I think needs to happen is people need to learn the real story.
Exactly.
People need to absolutely know that I don't know what country my ancestors came from.
Right.
I don't know what language they spoke. I know you don't even start it with me. Don't start with me. Not Asian or
Thailand,
Latino,
Guatemala,
or any of those other cultures. I can't trace my roots back to. I guess we're a little bit better with that now with the ancestry. But at some point we could never trace our roots back to where we began because another group of people felt like it was necessary to treat us like property, and it didn't matter to them. So if I want to know these things, I should be able to know these things. And if I'm studying your culture in school, then you need to study mine.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to help us move forward.
And they'll get offended by. So let me ask you something. Did you see the video where they were protesting? It was a pro-Palestinian protest, and the police officer went up there and snatched the flag.
No.
And threw it.
No.
Right? Because nobody should be hanging in a flag that's not American. But and they loved it. Oh no! Oh, people just I don't know if we got fired or not, but they was raving about that. You can't hang. This is the USA, whatever. But will they do it to, the Confederate flag? Right? Or would they do it outside of, an Irish pub that has the Irish flag, or Italian restaurant that has an Italian flag?
Right.
So we need to actually come to grips about the real deal. Like we have to examine ourselves and not say,
and be open to learn some information about other people.
Yes.
That's the only way that this is going to be fixed. That's the only way. People need to take their head out of the sand, stop telling, African Americans or other cultures, oh, that was such a long time ago. You do not tell Jewish people that the Holocaust was a long time ago.
Exactly.
You don't say that to them.
Exactly.
And their thing is you talk about it so you never forget it.
Right.
And that's the same thing we're just trying to do. We don't want you to forget that these things happen. You need to learn about these things because all of it really is a part of the United States history.
So you're saying the solution, from what I'm hearing, is to be open and educate ourselves.
Yes.
Which is not going to happen.
Probably not.
Not for for the people that actually need to do that.
Right.
So it needs to be forced.
You can't force people to learn things.
You can't force people to learn, but you can put it out there where they have the opportunity to learn it. You don't.
It's out there now.
I'm talking about in the schools. Like
okay.
Don't take the stuff out.
Right. Don't take it out. You're right.
Or be more enthusiastic about having forums or
these conversations. Yeah.
These in those programs that's in college.
Right.
Stop saying, "Oh, we can't have that because we're not going to go with your diversity." Equity and inclusion,
right?
All
of those things need to happen.
Yeah, so
all of those things need to happen.
But until it does,
I hate that. We're going to
go backwards.
Thing. I hate that woke thing, and I think part of it, what I don't like about it, is that you telling me just because I want to know what my history is that all of a sudden I'm this woke thing. Like, no, these are things that you should learn too. It's not just
So they use the term woke because they're saying that. We're trying to change history. We're trying to change culture and laws because we're just more aware now. Instead of just saying, well, woke means aware. Woke means that you're not asleep at the wheel.
Right.
Maybe, I know you've been told certain things your entire life. And maybe it's time for somebody to say, well, that's not exactly true.
Right. And
let's learn about the truth. And that way, maybe you'll feel differently about a group of people, whether it be
and maybe you
religious.
Can be woke too.
Absolutely. where are we in a society where being woke
and aware
is bad?
Right. It's bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's very crazy.
So listen, while we're thinking about it, on June 29th at 4 to 7 p.m., we're having our what's it called?
First annual wine and pasta
podcast.
Yes.
So we're inviting you guys out. I dropped the tickets, by the way, to $45 instead of $55. To encourage more people.
Okay.
So come out there. You get the choice of 3 what do you call them? Dinners. Entrees, yeah. You have the Cajun chicken pasta. You have the shrimp pasta Alfredo, which is my favorite, and you have the jerk vegetable pasta.
Okay.
And your choice of red or dry wine.
Red or white wine?
No, it's
red or white wine.
Is it red or white? White?
Yes.
Oh.
Because red can be dry and white can be dry.
Okay. So you have a choice of different wines.
We're gonna get it together.
So,
we are.
and you don't have to make a choice. So you'll be served, and if you want to try a little bit of everything, then that's fine. Nobody's we're gonna have fun and be social. That's the whole thing. Be social. We're gonna have some people come up and be part of our podcast team, and we're gonna talk about several different topics.
Okay.
So from what I'm hearing is a lot of people want to talk about relationship topics.
Okay.
And one of them was how to keep your relationship going.
Don't kill them.
Yeah, I say just pick women that are not hard-headed. But
yeah, okay.
But I think we'll have a lot of fun, and especially after you come in from 1 to 2, you have your food.
2.
1 to 2, 4 to 5.
You said 4 to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. What time is it? Check our website at www.hottopix podcast.com. Go to the events section and it'll have all the details. Is it 4 to 7?
I thought you said 4 to 7.
What did I say?
You said at 1 to 2 you're going to
okay, so from 4 to 7, but check the website.
We trying, family. We are trying. We really are.
That first hour, we are actually going to, have the food and drinks and stuff like that, and then we'll get into the podcast. So you guys should be nice and loose and comfortable, and
willing to share.
Exactly. So if you come as a group, if you want to, encourage some of your friends to jump up there on the mic, you're going to be able to hear everything that they're saying. Put them on the hot seat.
Don't put anybody on the hot seat. You want them to participate willingly. Don't put people on the hot seat.
Hey, hot seat is best. Hey, this is Hot Topics. You get a hot seat.
Okay. I'll go with that. Right. I'll go with that.
So I was right the first time. It's June 29th, 2024 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it's going to be at Myrie's Island Kitchen at 9828 Liberty Road in Randallstown, Maryland, 21133. So if you go to the website, you can find it under the events. Click to buy your tickets. You can, and it's when you buy your tickets, you can actually select your seat. So
cool beans.
We're looking forward to having you guys on there. And while we're doing the events, we have a Africa Day celebration coming up on May 25th from 11 to 7. You can look at the events on 4410online.com. And we have the Gwen Oak Food and Music Festival.
Yes, that's always a fun festival.
And that's going to be June 23rd. That's a Sunday from 11 to 7 as well. You can check that website, 4410online.com. Look under the events and it's there. And it's a free event. So you guys just come out, bring a chair, bring a tent, and have some fun.
Have some food.
Exactly.
Do some shopping.
I'm a eat.
You always
I eat. So, and make sure you subscribe to our website too, because we're going to have some monthly prizes. We're going to do monthly, right?
And we'll also have some prizes at the wine and pasta event. We're going to have some prizes.
We should do it as a game, right? Or we can just do it as a door prize.
We'll work it out. I think we'll have both. Like we'll have some door prizes, and then we'll do a game. We'll do both. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. I can't wait to hear some of the stuff that's going to come out people's mouths. Yeah.
So thank you, family, for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes. Again, it's www.hottopix podcast.com, and we're on everything. So just look us up. Catch us next time. We'll have some good stuff.
Good night.